Welcome to Blueprint Boost for Contractors, the podcast that's your go-to source for unlocking the secrets to successful marketing, gaining valuable insights, and growing your contracting business with less stress. Your host is David Brooks, and he's thrilled to be your guide on this journey. As a seasoned expert in the contracting industry, David understands the challenges you face. That's why each episode is crafted to provide you with actionable strategies and proven blueprints to boost your business to new heights.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our latest podcast episode. Looking forward to unpacking some really good information. We have a guest with us for this episode of the podcast, and I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Hey, David, how you doing? My name's Chris Murphy with Blue Bear Plumbing, Heating, and Air. We are on the South Shore of Massachusetts, Norwell to be exact. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks. Appreciate you being here. Can you tell us a little bit about your history, your background with the company?
Yeah, so Blue Bear Plumbing, Heating, and Air. I created the company December 2017. My traditional background, I was a commercial plumber. I worked in Boston all the time. Quit my job somewhat abruptly in December. Parted ways. I worked for a great company. Parted ways and instantly said, "Oh my God, I quit my job right before Christmas." Tried to look for another job. No one was going to hire me, so I kind of struck out on my own. I established the name Blue Bear. My last name is Murphy. It's not very unique here in the Massachusetts area. I figured I'd just be a face in the crowd if I use the name Murphy on the side of my van. So I kind of went with Blue Bear. At the time, I had 4 kids. It was Purple Penguin or Blue Bear. My kids chose Blue Bear, and it was off to the races. We've been around. This is year 7. We've grown pretty dramatically. First year we did 600,000 to 2.2 million, 6.8 million, 9.2 million. We did 11 million in 2023. We kind of turned it back. We got really big as a company. We had 60 employees at the time. We've actually tuned that back down to 40 employees. We finished up last year at 10.5 million.
Nice. It's excellent to be able to kind of hear that growth and then like the scale back and you being able to kind of find the solution. Just didn't know, what your next move was going to be, but decided that you needed changed. How did you get started in plumbing and HVAC?
So my father's a plumber.
Mhm.
I told him when I was young I would never be a plumber. I went to private school, college preparatory high school and everything. I got to junior year and I don't know, I decided to give the trades a shot instead of jumping right to college. Not that there's anything wrong with college. I got into college. I just wanted to go make some money. Started a formal apprenticeship with a bigger shop. Did my 5 years there in Massachusetts, a 5-year licensure for a plumber's license. 5 years there, and then another 5.5, 6 years at the second company, and then I started this. It's exciting. I think the trades they've been broken for a little bit. I think we all like to say, oh, everybody went to college for the last 30 years, but I think as like tradesmen, like we sat idly aside and watched it happen too. So I think one of the biggest things that I like to say a lot with trades is, we go out every day and fix things, and now we have this problem with the trades where there's not enough people entering. And it's probably our job to go fix that too. While we sat idly aside, we let it happen. So now it's time for us to go fix it.
Yeah, I really think that it does need to be fixed. Like I said, it is a broken system currently where trades just aren't as prevalent as they used to be some years ago with school. And I can remember when you had different trades people come to the school for career day, and it really kind of gave you a look into the normal uh ebb flow of different trades, what the job entailed. It was, really interesting. It was always really interesting to me. And then throughout the years, you just started to see those things get further and further away from schools. And then you have like the professional, and you got the doctor or lawyer or different things, and trades get lost in the mix.
They do. They do. I think they're one of these things that they're a necessity for society, right? I think automation, robots, and all that stuff. Yeah, they're gonna come out some way somehow. But with plumbing and HVAC, people need running water. They need drains. They need AC. They need heat wherever you live. And it's something that's always there. And it's not super glamorous to say I'm in the trades. I gotta put on the work boots every day, but I think what you can get out of the trades is what you put into it. You know, we focus at Blue Bear heavily on residential service. So we want to be Johnny on the spot when you wake up, you know, you're trying to get to work. You know, I always put it into perspective like this, you know, Joe works downtown Boston. He's in an office. He wakes up to hop in the shower. There's no hot water. You know, his wife's getting up with his kids to get them ready on the bus, get the bats going and all that stuff. No hot water goes down the basement and the tank's leaking everywhere. So, you know, he's got to go to his job because that's what supports his family. So you give us a call, we come there and take care of it. You know, it's kind of quelling that fear. So you still get to do your thing. And we're the guys that answer. So that's kind of what we focus heavily on. Obviously, there's all sorts of different avenues inside the trades. But I think the trades themselves, you know, post-COVID world that we live in, they got a lot of credit during COVID. You know, we had this exponential growth during COVID just because we were quote unquote essential. So we were out there operating while everybody was kind of at home. And I think it's piqued the interest, obviously, from private equity. Obviously, they're massive players in this game now. But I think it's piqued the interest. We've definitely seen like an uptick of younger generations coming in now. You know, it's not to say it's, I like to say our business model, it's not recession proof, but recession resistant. You know, there's ups and downs in the economy, but again, it's a necessity. People need the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, no, they definitely do, and like you said, it's a thing where it becomes a crisis really quick, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like, it's something that you can't ignore. Like the children they have to go to school. Father and mother has their responsibilities, whether that be a job or whether that be staying at home. And they don't have either the time or resources or the knowledge just to be able to
yeah.
to fix things. So that's where the experts come in hand.
Yeah, and I think it's just like anything, you know, like the mechanical systems in your house or in a high-rise building. Like you go to your house to live, spend time with your family, significant other, whatever, what have you, and you start to take for granted. Like, yeah, you go to the faucet, you turn the water on, it works all the time. I have hot water, I have cold water, you know, the toilet flushes when I need it to. I turn the heat on when it's cold, I turn the AC on when it's hot. And it's just like human nature, it's like anything, right? Like it's like when you get that brand new car, you're vacuuming that thing for the first 4 weeks, making sure there's not a speck of dust. And as time goes on, next thing you know, there's an empty water bottle in there. You take for granted the things that you have, but they're just everyday items that you use on a consistent basis. So it's just human nature to kind of forget the importance of them until they're not there.
Exactly. Exactly. You just, in that ebb and flow, you forget about and you take for granted the things that are just everyday essentials that are working properly, and then the next minute, like they're not working, and it becomes a situation where you may try to self-diagnose what's going on for 10 minutes and then figure out it's a bigger problem at hand. And that leads to being able to find a professional to be able to kind of solve your problem, because a lot of people have those issues and have those problems. And does, even like you said, during COVID, you see that growth, like those problems don't go away.
Absolutely. And I think like that's another big thing. Like it's a good segue into this, but like you said, you run into this issue and how do you find somebody to come take care of it, right? You're just trying to get to work and all of a sudden you have this major event going on at your house and you need to get it taken care of. And that comes into a piece that I'm trying to build with Blue Bear. You know, one of the things that we established from the early beginning was we wanted to be this lighthouse company. And what did that mean? You know, we want to set the standard for what needs to be done and how we do business with customers, right? We want to change the interaction from contractor to consumer. You know, I think throughout this industry, it's that very abrasiveness. You know, you're calling a stranger into your house, and how do you break down that wall where, hey, am I going to get screwed over this time? Is this guy going to even come back?
Mhm.
So right off the rip, that was one of the things I wanted to change the customer interaction. You know, we like to say at Blue Bear, we're a customer service company that just so happens to do plumbing, heating, and HVAC on the side, you know? And with that being said, like designing a company that really caters to the customer, but then also inside of that, you have internal and external customers, right?
Mhm.
External customers, the people calling us for issues, but then who's the internal customer? It's everybody who works here, right? Because everybody has to buy into what we do here
Mhm.
to be able to put it out to the external customer. So building a company where people can envision themselves working here for a long period of time. This is not just a job, it's a career. It's a family place that I want to work at and I can see grow. And I've seen changes positively and impactful for my life as well as the people that we interact with daily, you know?
And that's so what you just said is so important is, making an impact, making a change, making a difference, and, being a customer, service focused organization and just happens to do plumbing and HVAC is so vitally important because in your everyday experience, you have some kind of interaction sometimes with or maybe weekly experience, you have some kind of interaction with customer service, whether that's going to the grocery store,
Mhm.
whether that's going to the mall or some kind of place, a restaurant, anything. You're interacting with people, and based off of what you experience is going to dictate whether you're going to come back, whether you're going to tell friends and family that you suggest this place, or just you get the good feeling about, hey, I made a purchase and I had to pay for something, and I felt good about, being able to pay for that service.
Mhm. I think in like this day and age too, where there's so much automation and AI, like we're starting to falter on customer service. Like you said, like you go to the grocery store and most of the time now you can bring out your own groceries, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
there's limited interaction. And I think being able to bring that customer service to the forefront where I mean, people don't do business with businesses, people do business with people, right? It's
Mhm.
it's not Chris Murphy who owns Blue Bear. It's not Blue Bear that calling. It's Joe, the technician who came out last week to their house and they want them out at their mother's house. That's where business is really done and cultivated. And that's where you get like a strong following of people who continue to use you, you know?
And that's so true. And like I said, people do business with people who they feel comfortable with, who they feel good about, knowing that they could solve their problem and actually have a really genuine interaction with them, and that somebody that they can recommend. They feel comfortable with the recommendations that they're going to give, knowing that they're in good hands. Because as a customer homeowner, you don't know the extent sometimes of what needs to be done. And sometimes you may say, okay, listen, we came out here to diagnose this issue, but we noticed this, that, and the third. And we are going to suggest that maybe we fix this right away. Maybe it's something that you need to think about down the line. But being able to have that good experience and have that good relationship with people is able to kind of help them understand what needs to be done instead of somebody just coming out and saying, "Okay, all right, yep, and then and then you just, oh, we can fix it and we'll be back,"
Yep.
and
Yeah.
it is no interaction there.
It's like what we try and do is a whole process in how like we approach someone's house, right? Like first of all, like at Blue Bear, we have a mission statement. We're gonna enter your home as if it's our own. We're gonna treat everybody as if they're our own family member, and we're gonna make recommendations on what we would do in our own home, right? Um, so when we enter a home, hey, you have a leaky pipe. Yeah, we can absolutely just fix it, and here's the fee, and blah blah blah, right? But there's more to it than that, and I think this is where like the value comes in. And this is a lot of times you hear it's kind of like a cliche thing in the industry, really build your value, build your value. What does that really mean, right? First of all, we can all go work a process, but if you can't even get on the same level as the customer and, get them to, take that guard down against you, like just interact with them as a human being first, right? Hey, I'm Chris. You're David. Nice to meet you. Whatever, whatever have the similarities there, we can connect with somebody on an individual basis. Great. Let's figure that out so we can at least talk like humans together. Then from there, we can really work our process. From a plumbing standpoint, I think homeowners have a plumber in their home on average once every 5 years or so. So when you have us in your home, yes, we're here to fix the water leak, but like what else could possibly be a potential here? Let us run through the things that we see. And if we do see an issue, do you want us to let you know? Right? Because it's just like when you go to the doctors, right? If you were to go get your knee replaced, they're still going to check your heart rate. They're still going to check your blood pressure because the last thing we want to do is give you a brand new knee for you to walk out and have a heart attack. Last thing we want to do is fix this one leak for your water heater to go leaking a week later. So really enveloping that process of the human interaction first, and then bringing the value of, hey, we're the experts. We want to just let you know about this stuff, whether it's plumbing or HVAC, same type of deal. Let's go through this robust process where we're going to give as much information as possible to you, but also address the issue at hand,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
really
it's
the impact statement,
and the impact statement, like you said, is the impact statement and that customer experience and being able to provide those recommendations are crucially important. If you think about it, so I had an experience where I took my car to the mechanic and I think I got it serviced, and then like a month later, like I needed oil. So
Mm,
it's like I had to go right back to the mechanic, and I was, a little flustered because I'm like, man, they could have just did the oil while they had the car there
right.
last month. And so now I have to make another trip out my schedule to take the car back. But it's also the same thing. If you're there in somebody's house to fix a plumbing issue, you notice something else, I would rather you tell me, hey, look, this is this, and you bring it to my attention, and then I might, well, yeah, they're here, I might as well, yeah, have them take care of the rest of this instead of saying, okay, well, they didn't tell me. And then a month later, I call them back and they say, yeah, we noticed that the last time, but never said anything.
Right. And like we run into it a lot of times with HVAC, we'll go to units, maybe it's 15, 20 years old, right? And that's like typically the life expectancy we like to see out of a unit. And, hey, this motor is down and out. It's going to cost you X, Y, and Z. And really being able to have that conversation, hey, David, do you want to invest 2 grand into this unit that is already past its life expectancy? Or would you prefer, just to have a consultation about what it would cost to replace it, right? Because at the end of the day, we can fix this motor and then something else might break. And you're just going to get super aggravated at us that we didn't talk about any of this.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we're out 5 times putting 5 different parts in, and you're halfway to the cost of a new unit. So the industry itself gets tagged with, upsales, and you're a salesman, you're just selling more units and this and that. But I think like the reality is we're changing generationally where time is more important. Like you just said, like if you had just known about that oil, you would have taken care of it right then and there, right? But now it's an inconvenience of another day and another day. And really, what's the bigger impact? The bigger impact is I have a job I got to go to, and now I have to take 2 days off to fix the car that's already been in there for 2 days. So being able to grasp it all for that customer to make the most educated decision on their behalf and let them make the ultimate decision. We're merely advisors, as always say. We just want to advise you of everything that's going on here, and you make the choices to what you want to repair. If you want to replace it, like we're happy to help and accommodate, but ultimately it's your decision. We just want to make sure you have all the facts laid out, you know?
Exactly. Making sure that those facts are laid out, and that, you know, that you're giving the homeowner the expertise, right? Because they're paying for a service, but they're also paying for your expertise.
Mhm.
If not, they would be trying to YouTube and do it themselves.
Right.
But they were relying on you as the experts, to be able to give them the best recommendations as possible. And at least at the end of the day, whether they decide to go with everything you suggest or not, they can't say that they weren't educated on the facts.
Right. And I think as like an industry over the past 20 years, I'm a plumber by trade. Obviously, we do HVAC and everything now too. Um, but like, like the big joke about the plumber is like his butt cracks hanging out, right? And is it a joke? I don't know. Is it real? I don't know. It was real enough that it happened enough that it's a joke, right? So, I think as an industry, like you just said it, like where the professionals coming out, and I think similar to the college thing I said, like we allowed that to happen. We allowed guys to show up and not look that great. He's in a raggedy t-shirt, crappy jeans or whatever. And as an industry, we have to change that perception, because I think that perception also went into the mind of the guys working in it, right? Like, oh, I'm just here to fix the pipe. No, you're a professional. You're a licensed trade. You're a skilled trade. You're out here to fix something that somebody else can't fix. So really setting that tone within the industry, and then obviously inside my company, we are experts at what we're doing. We are professionals. There's a reason they're calling us to really set that agenda. And I think that perception it's slowly shifting, right? Like we wear uniforms. You can see everything matches here. This is how I'm wearing a sweatshirt, but underneath there's a blue collared shirt that everybody wears. We all wear the same stuff. And the industry, some guys wear really white shirts and everything, and it's okay. We tried the white shirt thing, didn't work out that well. But I think setting yourself professionally apart, you go into any sort of white collar job, they're all dressed a certain way, business casual, right? And because there's a certain persona that comes with that. Oh, this guy dresses nice, he wears nice shoes, he wears nice pants, he must be a professional, right? So I think that translates over into the trades as well. And we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard as to how we look and how do we present ourselves to the customers, because ultimately that plays into our professional service.
It does. And, being able to look the part, right? You said, it had to be a joke, at first, but it had to be seen enough times for it to even
Yeah.
kind of spread around like it did. And, as a customer, and you're having somebody approach you, you will want them to be able to look presentable, right? You want them to be able to kind of come and present themselves and kind of walk you through a process, and it gives you a good feeling when you're letting someone into your home, your space where you feel safe, where your family is, and to be able to kind of have someone come in to kind of give you that experience, put you at ease, and knowing that whether you're dining at a five-star restaurant or whether you're getting your HVAC unit service, like you want that great experience, right? You want to be able to feel like that throughout the whole process, you understand things from start to finish.
Right. No, 100%. I think I say the trades, but it portrays out to everything. Like just because we've been talking about cars, right? If you go buy a new car, most dealerships you go into, they're dressed a certain way, right? You're gonna sign over, whether you're gonna pay outright or you're gonna sign financing for tens of thousands of dollars. There's a reason they look professional when they're selling you a car. There's all sorts of stuff subconsciously happening in your brain when you approach situations like that, and people are dressed a certain way.
Mm.
So
Yep.
it's super interesting, and I think like just as like a trades industry, that's one of my things. I'm big in the PHCC. I run a chapter here in South Shore, Massachusetts, and just really presenting to guys why we should carry ourselves to a higher standard. We're not just trades guys; we're professionals, we're experts. And really conveying that to the customer and developing businesses that are actually businesses where people can enter your business, work there, and thrive personally as well as professionally.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And to even so pivoting now, how do you handle an emergency situation with a customer where they have this urgent plumbing need, they have this urgent HVAC situation, and they're just like, I just need a professional, I need someone to come out right away.
Yeah. So inside my business, like I said, we're somewhere around 40 people, I believe 40 right now. There's me, I'm the owner, and then I have service manager, installation manager, um, field manager, and then we have CSRs. So there's a whole process to get into the company. When you call, our CSRs answer the phone right away. We offer 24/7 service, but we also have memberships where, ultimately, what is a membership for us? We're going to come out and maintain your heating and HVAC system on an annual basis. There's some other caveats inside of that, but ultimately we want you to have, it's ultimately buy-in, right? Like we want you to say, hey, we want to give you X amount of dollars a month to make sure that we're covered all the time. So our members are priority number one for us. They call in with emergency service. We will see them whatever time of day it is, we're out to see them. We have people that call in throughout the day and we prioritize the calls. This is not to negate what the customer thinks is an emergency, what constitutes an emergency, what doesn't, right? Because some people, their faucet's dripping, it's an emergency, but we really have to, we triage the calls. If, hey, I have a gas leak and I have a drippy faucet, the gas leak's probably going to take precedent in that. So we have like a list of high priority calls where these are musts. We have to get there today to take care of this issue. We also have a process internally where the CSRs who answer the phones, they'll run through a quick checklist. Hey, I have water pouring out my basement, and they'll walk them through. Hey, do you know where your main shutoff is? And they don't know where it is. They kind of explain it to them what it might look like, because obviously we don't know if we've never been there. And so we try and mitigate it as fast as possible from the office, and then dispatch people out accordingly to the priority of the job.
Excellent. And that's, really a great system to have when you're coming into, customers experiencing a problem, emergency. It's really good to have a good foundation in place. And like you said, you have reps that answer the phone, and things are able to kind of move along in the process. And sometimes, operating inside of a business, things are so busy. And if you don't have the right systems and the right people in place, what can happen is, I've heard it where, you listen into a customer's phone call, and you have someone in the office and they're talking in the background, and they put them on hold, and the person has, they may be calling in between a lunch break to
Mm.
call out about, they have limited time, and it's, they get placed on hold, or, without being told they're getting placed on hold. They try to call, or no one calls them back, and it's, someone raising a hand, "Me, I need help, I need help." And, oftentimes, unfortunately, sometimes it's mislooked, it's neglected, or like it gets a call back, a week later, and they're like, "Hey, look, I already went with another company because no one ever called me back in the appropriate time."
Absolutely. And it's huge. So we have like you hit it on nail on the head. You said systems, right? So one thing we try and do in my company is what's the best company in the world at systems? McDonald's, right? They systematize how to make a hamburger.
Yep.
So a lot of times, like with my leadership team, I say, how do we make a McDonald's?
Mhm.
How do we take McDonald's systems and how do we take Amazon's customer service, combine those to Blue Bear, and yeah, ultimately those are two really large corporations in the world, but Amazon is great at customer service. You get the wrong, first of all, you can get a package in 6 hours sometimes with them, right? They can
Yep.
say, um, but you get the wrong thing, you call and say, hey, this isn't the right thing or it's damaged. And they say, it's fine, we're going to send you another one. You're keeping that, right? And super interactive, super easy, super accessible. McDonald's, I mean, they sell billions of dollars in cheeseburgers every year, right? So they design these processes. And I think any sort of business, if you don't have processes in place, it's just helter skelter all the time. And you're firefighting more than anything. It's just, hey, there's chaos over here. Let's put out this fire. There's chaos over here. Where when it comes into a system and a process, it's captured and it goes down the funnel as to where it goes, who handles it, what's the expectation, set the expectation, meet the expectation, and execute, you know?
Yep, and McDonald's has that system, right? So it's like, hey, they've got that system like a well-oiled machine.
Mhm. I mean, they can hire anybody. You can make
Yep,
cheeseburgers, right? You can be
yep,
16, you can be 60, and there's a system how you do it. This is how the pickles go on. This is how the cheese goes on.
yep.
And I think it's been a long time for me, right? This is year 7, and for quite a, to be honest, like the whole gamut of my business, the first 4 years I learned a lot, but I really learned the most in year 5 to 6.
Mhm.
We ran into some issues, and I've learned in all of it, but I probably learned the most in 1 year compared to the 5 years total. And it's really been year 5 to current where we've started to really systematize everything. And, I think the biggest thing with systems and like business owners they run into is, me personally, I used to be this guy. I want to know what everything is. I want to know how it all works. And you develop a management team that, at the end of the day, I can't know everything. There's only so much room in this head of mine. And as long as I know that it's operating right and there's certain measurables that I can say, hey, whatever we're doing is working. I know the system, I know of it. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know how we operate and the numbers up here are saying it, the KPIs.
Mhm.
I know that it works. And then you have your other managers who manage the systems. But as business owners, it's very hard to let go of that, especially when you put like the blood, sweat, and tears of building something organically from, I started in my garage to the building, 17,000 square foot building we're in now. And it's hard, and it took me a long time to finally start letting go of the reins.
Mhm.
And there's some things people ask me a question. I say, I have no idea. You have to go ask so and so because I don't know, and I own the business. But it's par for the course of growth inside of a business. And I think that piece of learning to let go and really develop these processes starts to build, I equate the business, when I first started, we were a 2-foot step stool, right? Now we've grown into an extension ladder and we have all these rungs that need to be filled. And now I tell myself, how do we make it scaffolding so it's wide, tall, big, and everybody can go up and there's a million positions to be filled and opportunities for people to rise up the ladder and get higher on the food chain, and then presents more opportunity below for people to come in. And I think that's back to the start of the conversation, the trades. I think a lot of things in the trades is we don't present opportunity. Hey, you're becoming an HVAC tech for the
Mhm.
next 40 years. Well, I like doing it, but I don't know, like, if I want to do it for 40 years, like, I would like to see some career growth and opportunity. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me is how do I create opportunity? I think I'll circle this back. When I first started in business, I said, I want to be a millionaire. I'm going to own my own business, become rich. And I think by year 2, I realized that it was going to be difficult. So what I really thrive off of is creating opportunities for watching people step into those opportunities and really just own that process because quite frankly, everybody on my management team is probably better than I am,
Mhm.
you know?
And you said it's hard to let go of the reins. You learned a lot throughout the years, and you were able to kind of address your pain points and to be able to kind of help the business grow. And that's putting the right systems and the right people in place. To be able to facilitate that growth, to be able to facilitate the success of the business. And I love the fact that you said you have to let go of the reins, and which is hard for a lot of business owners, right? You put your blood, sweat, and tears into the business, and you started out, usually one person, one or two people, maybe just you, and then as you see it grow, like a lot of the things that you would normally handle, now you have to be able to delegate, right? And sometimes if you can't delegate, you're either overwhelmed yourself because you can't do everything, or you may be trying and it may succeed at some, but then some other areas are going to fail, right? So you need to be able to kind of have those right people or train the right people to be in the best position possible to be able to kind of help take the load off of you.
Right. No, 100%. I think also within like hiring management, you start to create redundancy too, right? Like I used to be the guy who wore all the hats. Now I have a general manager, a service manager, an install manager. Like actually today, as I sit here, my general manager and service manager are out in training till next Wednesday, this Wednesday. And 3 years ago, I'd be like, holy smokes, what are we gonna do? Like they're out, like I'm gonna have to take on all this stuff. But there's redundancy in the people that report to them because they're able to pass on some of the work. Hey, you're gonna take care of this while I'm away, you're gonna take care of this. And to be quite honest, we're running perfectly fine. And I don't even know if I have to be here, but I'm here, right? And the place just runs well when people know that they're in a position of leadership and they have ownership too, right? I own this position, I own this role, I'm going to take over this while they're away. And there's some camaraderie and teamwork being done, right? It's not, there's not, people are missing, but people are stepping up to the plate to fill in for them, so it's a really good feeling. To be honest, this is year 7 for me. I had to take a little leave of absence for a month. My wife had a surgery, so she had recovery and everything. So it was the first time ever that I left here. I was out for 5 weeks. I didn't even come in here, and I was go back 2 years ago. I would have been in here every day, every time I could sneak out, I'd be stopping by. But I kind of just let go and let them run it, and it ran awesome. To the point I came back, I said, I don't bring any value here. There's nothing for me to do. Because like as the owners, you're always looking for like those fires that we're just talking about. I'm like, where's the issue? What can I do? What can I jump in to solve right now? And everything's solved and it's going great. So I think as business owners, as you build these companies and you start to create these opportunities, ultimately, what is my role? You started my email, chief visionary officer. What's the next thing we're going to do? How do we keep growing and moving forward and improve? And it's a good feeling to have. And I've listened. I think in this day and age, you can get a lot of information from podcasts, anything. Everybody's willing to tell you what they did. And there's one thing that I heard one guy say, and he grew this company, sold it. He didn't he didn't take the time to enjoy the process as you grow. And I feel like I finally hit this point where I didn't really know what he meant by that, because obviously you're in like the firefighting mode, like survival mode. We just got to make money. And I finally feel like I've hit this point in my time, my career here, that it is enjoyable to see the process work. Now it's working, and it's just taking the time to take in what you've built. Because I think as human beings, a lot of times we're like, hey, we're not doing great today, right? It's celebrating those wins. It's actually stepping back from today and going all the way back to day one. Because as humans, we don't like realize the last 7 years. But when you measure day one to today, you go, holy smokes, we built something big here, and realizing that, and, on a daily basis, trying to figure out those wins and have a lot of gratitude for them. And the fact that you were able to get to this point, when a lot of people aren't, that's really big for people too. Or it's big for me.
Yeah, and being able to see the growth, and to be able to, like you said, you're a visionary. So and you're also the owner. So you're looking for ways to be able to improve, or maybe to put out a fire. And it may be no fires, right? It may
Mhm.
be that everything is flowing like a well-oiled machine, and as a business owner, someone who's well invested in the way the company runs, and the people inside of the company. I think that is so crucially important too, to know that if you have something, that is things are going well, not to be able to interrupt the ebb and flow of the process and how people are actually executing, because that sometimes can sabotage things where you do have the right people in place, you do have the right systems, but because you feel like you need to put your hands on something, you're like, okay, I'm gonna tinker over here with this department, I'm gonna go over here. And sometimes it may be helpful, like if you're providing that value, if it's a training or something. But then sometimes it can also be detrimental, whereas the person or the people may not feel like, I can't execute because they're weighing me down, like
Yeah.
Joe's here, and Joe's going to interfere, and I have
Yeah.
a process and things. And it's like,
It's it's I think as like a business owner, I literally had this epiphany probably 6 months ago. Someone said, "Hey, it runs a little bit better when you're not here," my general manager. And it's not that I go in and mess things up, but I think it's as a business owner and like the blood, sweat, and tears, like you're willing to get your hands dirty into anything, right? But you do forget the fact that you do have like this overweighing authority on everybody because you own the place. And like when you say something, people are like, oh, I gotta kind of listen to what he said. When the reality is like you're just saying it as like, hey, maybe try this. And they take that as like Bible, like we gotta do what he said.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, like the process was running great. Like the people working the process, the managers, they start to build their own confidence. Like, hey, we're hitting good, everything's going great. Like my thing's going great. And then Chris walks in and say, hey, why don't we try this? Why is he saying that? Is something not working right? And you don't realize it. And it's something that I've had to step back and say, hey, maybe I don't do that. And there's a different way to approach those conversations. And I think that's a big part right now for me. It's just like growing as a leader. There's a lot of things to learn that quite frankly, I haven't learned yet just because you're in the hustle and grind of building the business.
No, and it's always like you said, they may take it as, like you said, well, you may just be making a suggestion. They may view it as, hey, this is like the new thing. Like we have
Yeah.
to do it because Chris said it,
Mhm.
and like they literally may take it really literal in that aspect. But it's all about, like you said, growth as a leader, right? You're working on the business, and each year, you'll continue to grow. You continue to be able to equip yourself with being a better leader, so that you could put the right people in places, but be able to lead the team, right? Sometimes if you look at the success of a football team, it's not because the coach is doing every single thing, is because he's putting the right people in places, and he's being able to just have these conversations with his coordinators and be able to give them just different suggestions and different tips, and then he lets them go out and execute without being able to say, okay, here's what we've been being taught by, our coordinator over here. Then the coach comes in and he's like, I'm saying something different. And it's like, who do we go with? Do we go with the coordinator or do we go with the coach?
Right. No, 100%. I think, like you said, it like they go out and they execute. And I think even aside from business, right? Like executing on whatever you're trying to do, I think a lot of people lack execution, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna go work out, I'm gonna lose a couple lbs, I gotta drop some weight. Everybody has it for the most part. I don't want to say everybody, but most people can go lose that weight, right? Unless you have a physical handicap or something. Most people can go lose that weight. A lot of people fall off that trajectory of losing the weight because they're not executing on a daily basis, right? And it starts to become like personal excellence. Like, are you going to hold yourself to a standard? Are you going to execute all the time? Like, it's up to you to execute. And I think as human beings, when you execute on something that you plan and do it, that's when the repetitions. It's going to the gym every day. I go every day. It's a repetition. It's executing every day, and ultimately you get to the 1 year of executing every day, you go, wow, I look a lot different in a year. So it's executing everything and allowing your team to execute on what they do. I
Yep.
think it's a really like powerful word, that word execute, because it's something that we say like kind of just in past, oh yeah, I execute on that, but like really executing and setting your mind to something and getting it done is super huge.
It is, being able, like you said, being able to go out and execute, and not just, saying it, and you have all the best intentions of the world, but then, time starts to get away from you and you're like, yeah, I wanted to do this. I wanted to, these were what I said I was going to set out to do, when they just never got done because I never followed through or I didn't execute.
Right.
So I'm just running in circles, and I'm not really able to facilitate that growth or facilitate a need, because I'm actually not making actionable steps of being able to achieve that.
100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Well, Chris, we like to wrap up with our last question. What are your goal and aspiration for the company for the rest of 2024?
So for 2024, so in that whole history of the company, we ran into some financial burdens. And I think when I hit those financial burdens is when I learned the most. At the end of the day, I was a guy who started a plumbing company. I had zero business acumen. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot about budgets, and I learned everything that I could learn. We actually we took on this debt. They're called merchant cash advances, right? They have their place in business. I took them on for the wrong thing. We ended up paying off $1.8 million in 15 months, and it was super stressful. And that's when I learned the most. I learned a lot about those debts. I've learned a lot about debt. I've learned a lot about bankruptcy because I was looking down that barrel. And you have these, at the time, super painful things going on. But when you're out of it, you go, wow, that's when I grew the most, right? So for 2024, our motto is profit and processes, right? So all of last year, felt like all the money we made had to pay off our debts. So this year is all about profit and processes, because like we had alluded to before, that when the processes are in place, the fires aren't there, everything gets handled. And ultimately, if the process is right, it should make us some money at the end of the year. As of right now, we're sitting in March. It seems to be true. The typical shoulder months where, we're kind of looking to break even and then really make our money up in the summer. We're making money now. We're profitable in months that typically, historically, have not been great months. So profit and processes for 24 is what the team and myself are focused on. I have a whole list of things for the next 3 years that we're focused on, but that's what 2024 is all about.
Excellent, excellent. And we're, looking forward to being able to kind of see that growth from you. You learned a lot of valuable lessons along the way, which I'm sure a lot of our audience will be able to appreciate, and really take your example, take your experiences, and think about the way that they could facilitate growth inside of their business, and to be able to move forward in 2024. We appreciate it, Chris. Thanks so much for coming on. We want to have you back on as a guest. And thanks for, being so transparent and honest with us, and giving us your journey, because it's so important. Because sometimes people just see the success and they don't see the hard parts of what goes in it to get to that point. And I think that's so important, where, you start off building, a solid foundation and work your way up. And sometimes the foundation, gets a little wobbly, right? Bricks get a little loose. You just gotta kind of put some cement over it, and to be able to put things back in place. So we greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, David. Yeah, I operate in transparency. I wish I could tell you everything I did was perfect and I knew all the answers to everything. Year 7, I still don't know. I'm learning every day. But one of the biggest things that I try to do, if there's a guy just starting out, I have a guy right now I'm working with. I don't charge a fee. I just call it business mentorship. I just sit with them 1 hour nights, actually Monday nights. I sit with them over Zoom, and I just tell them all the things that I did. Is it perfect? Is it right? I'll tell you everything I did right, that I think I did right, and everything I did wrong. And ultimately, like we do in business here, I'm just here to advise you. You take what you want and you choose what you want to do. But I'd rather convey to you the pain points that I had, so maybe you can avoid them and the pitfalls, So
No, we love that. We love that honesty. We love that, you're trying to mentor, and passing on that knowledge, to the next person is so vitally important.
absolutely.
Mhm. We'd like to thank everyone for listening to this episode. Please tune into the next episode, and don't forget to follow, and also leave your comments too as well. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blueprint Boost for Contractors. We hope you found today's insights and strategies valuable for your contracting business. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring content that truly matters.